All right. Special welcome to everyone from Feed the Hunger. And thank you for joining us once again for our webcast. This is something we started back in the fall of 2021. And we hope to bring you quarterly updates through this webcast of what God is accomplishing through your prayers and through your giving as you support Feed the Hunger and what God has called us to. And so just want to welcome everyone. We have a great lineup today and great updates from the field. A lot has changed in the world since we were last with you at the first week of February. And we're going to get into how Feed the Hunger has responded to what is the number one news story in our world for the past several months. And so we just want to welcome everyone, whether you're joining live or you're going back and watching this recording. Thank you for taking time out to spend these next 40 minutes or so getting a fresh update. Special thanks to our circle of friends, our prayer partners, and all of our supporters who make this a point to receive an update from what's going on from the field. And so thank you for your faithful giving and support. God is using it to impact lives eternally. He's using it to deliver hope to people who need it in a desperate time, as well as practical help and resources. And so as our normal format, for those that have tuned in before, you may know this by now, we'll give you an update from the ministry. We're going to start out with that. We do have an interview with a partner, and I know that's become a favorite of everyone's to kind of get a fresh update from the field of our partners on the front lines that we're supporting and holding their hands, so to speak, and resourcing them to do what God has called them to do. And then we're going to end today's session with a 10-minute Q&A. So at the bottom of your Zoom tab, there's a Q&A tab that you can press and submit a question. We'll be reviewing those and having an opportunity to answer those in more depth at the end. So we're going to get started with an update because 3 months ago, the topic that we're going to start out with this morning wasn't even a topic, and that is the Ukraine crisis, the war that's going on in Ukraine. And it has created the largest humanitarian crisis globally that we presently face. And God has positioned Feed the Hunger to respond to it. As many of you may know, there's three places of outreach that Feed the Hunger focuses on. Probably more than any other group, we target or look to help first and foremost vulnerable children. And so a lot of our outreach initiatives through food and Bibles, and educational supplies, and hygiene items are distributed and shared with children trapped in poverty. And so we're helping them break free from that and receive the love of Christ. The second area we like to help in is in pioneer areas. We like to resource our partners to go into places around the world where Christ has not been preached extensively before, and to help plant churches and grow the church in those areas. And the third area is our is targeting crisis situations. And a lot of times, historically, that's been times of natural disasters, as we've helped with extensively with hurricanes here in our own country, tsunamis in other places, and earthquakes as well. And it's always a privilege to help people in times of crisis. And now with the Russia's invasion of Ukraine, we've had the opportunity for the past several months to assist with the refugees, the displaced Ukrainians that have had to flee their country or flee to other places of Ukraine that are safer. And God's resourced us to be in a position to help them through your giving and your prayers. Many of you have responded and made donations to help, and we want to give you a report on that today. So the number one way we can help in this area is with food packets. Our meal packets are very timely in these types of situations. And so we were able to send out a full container, that's 276,480 meals packed by volunteers here in the United States, packed with love from the young to the old. And this was sent at the end of March by boat. And we want to show you a video of that being loaded and leaving our headquarters a little over a month ago.
Well, greetings, friends and partners of Feed the Hunger. You have helped feed people in the name of Christ after earthquakes and hurricanes, floods, during religious persecution, and other crises all around the world. And now you are helping in the middle of a war zone. Behind me, you can see that our container of food is being loaded for the Ukraine. It will leave Norfolk tomorrow as I record this, and then go on a 3 to 4 week journey across the Atlantic Ocean, through the North Sea, into the Baltic Sea, to the port of Gdansk, Poland. Well, it will then be trucked into Ukraine. And there our partners, our Christian partners, will be distributing this food in the name of Christ to those in need, those on the front lines of this war that have had their whole lives turned upside down. So please join us over these next few weeks to pray for this container and pray that every meal would be used to glorify God in such a challenging situation. God bless you.
All right, well, you saw him on recording just now. We're going to bring him in live. That's our CEO, Joseph Williams. Joseph, welcome to this update and through this webcast.
Well, hello, everyone. It's great to be here again. I know that so many of you tune in after the fact, so thank you for watching eventually. Thanks to those who are watching live. It's great to spend this time together.
Yes, indeed. And, it is the leading, still the leading headline item in the news globally, and has been for the past 2 months at least. And this is the war in Ukraine. And can you just update on everyone on how Feed the Hunger got involved in Ukraine and who we're working with to help these refugees as they're fleeing their homeland?
Yeah, normally when we get involved after a natural disaster or crisis in the world, if we don't have a partnership on the ground, we don't get involved. For example, when the tsunami hit Japan, we didn't have a partner in Japan, so we didn't help. But it seems like God may be shifting us to helping if at all possible. And the way that this particular scenario played out with Ukraine is we had one of our closest partner churches here in America, as well as another supporter of the ministry, independently come to me and the ministry and say, will you partner with this ministry in Ukraine? And so we kind of took that as a sign for us, for God saying that we needed to get involved. And so that person's name is Vitaly Smolin of Smolin Ministries. He connected to Open Doors Ukraine. You can see his picture there draped in the flag here in just a second for Ukraine. And he's a very well connected individual who is helping both in Ukraine and people in Poland transition out of the country if they need to. And so it's been a blessing to be able to help him in particular, as well as one other, which you're about to see in a few minutes.
Yeah. So tell us, Joseph, can you give us an update? I mean, you recorded that video that we just watched, I believe the last week of March. So it's been about 4 or 5 weeks since the time of that recording. Can you give us an update on where we are with our food outreach in Ukraine?
Yes. So that container of food is somewhere near Poland. We're not exactly sure where. There is a shipping delay. Not surprisingly, the one that's been going on worldwide now for several months this year, the shipping crisis. So the food has not yet arrived. It should have already arrived, but we're dealing with traffic jams and whatnot off the coast, last we heard. The good news is that literally in 2 hours from this recording, we have the equivalent of 2 more full containers of food that are leaving our warehouse, headed to a UPS facility in Louisville, Kentucky, to be flown on one of their 747s directly into Poland. So it's very possible that these 2 containers worth of over 550,000 servings will arrive before our sea shipment does. So we're really excited. And this is really only about half of what we hope to do in this window of time to help Ukrainian refugees with food.
That's right. So that's an additional 550,000 meals that are getting ready to be flown in by UPS. And a special thanks to UPS for offering to sponsor the meals being flown in at their cost to Poland. to help with this distribution. So thank you, UPS, for playing your part in helping to get this need or get these needed items to those who are hungry there. And so that makes just under 1 million meals, and we do have plans for at least another container, if not more. So I really think there'll be between 1 and 2 million meals, hopefully by summer's end, that's shared with those that are now displaced in Ukraine. So we're excited about that and thankful. What's been the ministry's involvement, though, in Ukraine beyond just helping with food since this whole thing started?
Yeah, obviously, there are tons of Ukrainians that are heading west or south or anywhere they can to get out of harm's way. And so in addition to providing with food, we've partnered with Vitaly's ministry in Ukraine, as well as another ministry in Moldova, which is to the south. I think it's to the southeast or somewhere to the south of Ukraine, very close to where the action's going on. But we're providing them with funding so that they can use that, convert it into gas for the vehicles to get the refugees out, all the transitional materials that they might need, such as hygiene items and just the basic needs to temporarily house them, at least before they go on to whatever their final destination is. But a lot of these folks are staying in the homes of believers indefinitely. And we've heard wonderful stories of how the body of Christ has just surrounded these refugee families with love and just accepted them as part of their own family. We do hope to help with a vehicle or two, armor plated even, but we're waiting to see how that plays out. So this is where funding really does help, when you just want to give support and not necessarily for food or Bibles, or just want to help in this kind of crisis. The funding is converted into the tangible thing that they need on the ground.
Indeed, and I think you've nailed it. I mean, one of the things that's most impressed me personally from being able to watch the response to this crisis is the global church, particularly in Moldova and Poland and other places, really step up and help those that have just left their homeland. They've left Ukraine, they've walked into a different country, and they have nothing. And they're starting over. And so it's really been a blessing to see the body of Christ come together and welcome people into their homes and kind of get them jump started. And we have a special partner, Victor Mirza, as Joseph's already referenced him. And he was able to sit down with us just a couple of weeks ago and give us a fresh update on how his ministry is helping in particular now. So Victor has been in Moldova, ministering in that country, and now as literally millions of people are fleeing into his homeland, his churches has kind of pivoted and is embracing and helping to transition those people to a new start. And so it's, as said at the beginning, I think this part of our webcast is the most popular or most appreciated. And our director of field ministries, Melinda Staples, was able to interview Victor Mirza in Moldova, and that's
right. They don't want to see you and I; they want to see Melinda interview somebody interesting. So
yeah, that's right. So let's watch what Victor has to say.
Today we have Victor Mirza from Moldova, who's going to be sharing with us about the refugees from the Ukraine. Victor, welcome, and thank you for being with us today.
Hello from Moldova to United States. I'm glad to actually be here with you and share whatever God is doing here in Moldova.
Well, thank you, Victor. And we are just so blessed to be partnering with you in Moldova. It's just a very tragic situation that has taken place in Ukraine. And of course, we see what's on the news and read on the internet and in the papers of what's taking place. But you're in Moldova, which is really, you're almost 2/3, at least, of your country is surrounded by the Ukraine. Just share with us how God is using you and your ministry team to reach out to these refugees.
Yes, thank you very much for this opportunity. Definitely, whatever we read on the news, it doesn't describe all the pain that people are going through right now in Ukraine. And when you hear personal stories from people, what's going on, people that actually lost everything they had, comfort, home, family members, peace, work, money, everything they actually worked for all of their lives, and it's really devastating. So we as a church, Agape Church, local church here, we have a commitment to serve these people and provide for them, different ways, food and shelter, transportation, um, spiritual help. You can say counseling, like psychological help. We're here to help them to understand God's will for their lives.
Mhm. Mhm.
And the encouraging thing for us to see, the people that are here, the people that are living here and not being able to travel anywhere else. It's encouraging to see them coming to church services, ask questions and stuff like that. And we really hope that they will see their hope in Jesus Christ.
That's so true. So important. And we just hear, through our news and media that we hear all the news through Poland.
Yeah.
But Moldova is working just as hard to care for these refugees. So many are fleeing into Moldova. So you're seeing a large influx of people coming into your country.
Yes. I mean, there are more people that travel to Poland, but if you compare the living style, the size of the country, and everything, Moldova had done, few times more than any other Western country.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to realize that our country probably is the poorest country in former Soviet Union, in Europe, however you want to say it. Besides that, everything has increased in, prices and everything. But Moldovan people had been very hospitable through the history,
Mm-hmm.
Especially Christians. And it's very encouraging to see a lot of Moldovans open their hearts and their homes for Ukrainian people. And I believe these are the good seeds that God will actually give good fruit in years to come.
Mm-hmm. What are you seeing as these refugees are coming over? What are you hearing? What are you seeing from them? Are they women and children? Are they mixed? Are they families being separated, torn apart?
Yeah, well, as of Ukrainian law, they will not allow men to leave the country only if you have 3 or more children. So whoever has 3 or more children, they left if they don't want to go into combats or fighting. Some of them have not left just because they want to defend their own country. So it's mostly women and children or people that are physically challenged in some way.
Mm-hmm.
And the first weeks when there was a big wave, like 3-4 weeks, people could travel through Moldova literally with no documents. Mm-hmm. And they were let through because everybody was understanding and still understanding what's going on. And I would say in a certain degree, it's a God's plan as well, because as we know in the history, women and children are always more open to the gospel than men. They're more receptive. So maybe that's a God's plan at this point. We don't know. We don't know. But certainly it's it's a devastating picture to see those families being torn apart, and some of them probably will never rejoin again, just because maybe some men will die and maybe some women probably will never want to come back.
And so your church, you pastor a church there in Moldova, and so your church has opened its doors to let these people in, and you're caring for them, feeding them.
Yeah, well, first days, everybody was in shock. First days, everybody was just, expecting for this to end, anytime. But then we realized that it's not going to end. And most of the people that traveled through Moldova and to Moldova, they're from southern part of Ukraine, and some are from the northern. And we were expecting for people just, to come and everything comes down, everybody goes back. So it was the situation. And then we've seen how many people are coming, and we decided that we turn into some of the church facilities into a place of hosting place for refugees. My house is still full of refugees. I have 8 people living with us, and my parents' house was full, and my mother-in-law's house was full, and other brothers and sisters, they also did the same thing. But specifically at the church, we turned the whole basement into a refugee place. We bought bunk beds, put in a couple of classrooms, and our church has also a rehab ministry. And very quickly, we turned it also into like a refugee house help. And we have a few families staying there as well. So I think over 100 people we've served over this last few weeks. And as of today, we have about 30 people staying with us permanently until they can go back, actually.
What are you finding to be most challenging as you've been doing this for several weeks now?
Talking spiritually, I think give them hope. That's the greatest challenge, because what they want is a hope of peace, and that's something that God has not promised. So the challenging thing is to encourage them to seek God instead of seek earthly peace. And I think some of them are getting it slowly. They're getting it. They're understanding that. As far as let's say material things is, when they get sick, find the ways how to help them, because they have kids, and those kids they get sick here and there once in a while. Maybe finding a job for some of them who are going to be staying here for a long time. But I think God is at work, and He provides. And want to thank, obviously, your organization that provided necessary funds to support this ministry. It's been a great help, and we want to thank you. And may God bless you to continue doing that, because it influences a lot of people, a lot of lives, basically, and a lot of hearts.
We've been blessed to be able to forward those funds to you, and we thank you for your work in caring for all these refugees. However, that is housing, food, water, clothing, and even helping to get jobs to sustain themselves. But we thank you so much for the work that you are doing, and we do pray for you. We pray for all of our brothers and sisters who are in this persecuted part of the world. But how specifically can we pray for Victor and the ministry?
For God's encouragement, God's vision, how and what's the best way how we can serve these people. Pray for our church to has wisdom to minister, not me personally, but other brothers and sisters. Pray for the salvation of these people. Pray for peace in Moldova. We are very close to what's going on. I mean, Odessa is only like 2 hours away, basically. And if Russia decides to bomb Moldova, that's not going to be a problem. So we are very, very thankful to God that His hand is upon our country, so we can serve the refugees. But we would like for the Lord to keep this hand closed above our country, so we can continue to minister to these people.
So thank you, Victor, for all that you are doing. And we continue to pray for you, and God bless you.
Thank you. God bless you as well.
All right. Well, I'm sure you enjoyed receiving that update from Victor, and it's real sobering to kind of put ourselves in maybe Victor's shoes and other Moldovians and thinking, wow, they're just in a country that is not in the middle of a war right now, but their lives have been rearranged, receiving refugees who have fled. And so it's remarkable what the church there is doing. And we're glad and humbled to be in partnership with them.
And actually, Scott, just to interrupt
Yes.
you, I was just getting a text update from Melinda that the sea container, it's our container switched vessels. And so that's why we've had trouble tracking it, but it's now just off the coast or at a port in the Netherlands.
Okay.
So it's getting pretty close.
That's right. Well, we'll keep praying that into its final port there in Poland, because I know Vitaly is very anxious to get his hands on it. I think and Melinda was telling me earlier this morning that in a conversation she had with him over the weekend, that he said, keep sending it. We have, it's needed. The people are hungry. So we'll continue to help them as God provides. And it's just a privilege to be able to help during this time. And
yeah, just to clarify for them also, for those watching, that Vitaly, we are sending the food and funding to. Victor, we're just sending funding to because of where he's located. So
that's right.
But the blessing was that in both cases, a partner church of ours connected us to these two men and their families and their ministries. So it's been a blessing to work with them so far.
And that's how the body of Christ is designed to work. And so it's exciting. Well, I hope you enjoyed that update and were inspired by that update from what's happening in Ukraine. And it has certainly consumed a lot of our attention over the last 8 to 9 weeks. But it hasn't been the only thing that's Feed the Hunger's been doing the past quarter. We already had lots of planned stuff, and many of those things, including packing events and other ministry aspects such as EduPack distributions and Hygiene Boost distributions and Bible distributions, have been going strong this last quarter. But one of the things that's been on pause since the whole pandemic started has been our international travel, where Feed the Hunger has been able to send people from the United States, even ourselves, our staff, making visits, because we have had during the pandemic a few of our partners come visit us, and I know it's a great source of encouragement for them to see us directly, but we'd love to go see them in their home country. So can you give everyone an update on where we are with the ability to travel internationally?
Yeah, I would say that travel has restarted, although we haven't really officially gotten going again. We have gone to rural Kentucky, where we help with food distribution. We went there a couple of weeks back, maybe a month back. And then we have a large team from Texas going to Kentucky in June, I believe. But I believe our next international trip will be to the country of the Dominican Republic, which shares the island with Haiti. We're going to be starting food distribution in the Dominican this summer. And so we're planning on heading over right after that container arrives. And then hopefully other dominoes, bigger country partnership will follow. And before the year is out, we're hopefully back to normal with missions travel.
Very good. Well, we're going to swing into kind of a Q&A time. So if you're joining live and you want to submit a question now, then please do that in the Q&A box that's at the bottom of your Zoom panel there. And there is a question kind of for starters here, Joseph. And Feed the Hunger had in 2021, and we shared this, I think, in February, we produced and packed more meals than what we ever had in one year. And that growth has continued so far in the first half of this year. I think by the end of June, we're projected to be at over 3 million meals, which is the most we would have done in the first 6 months of any calendar year. So there's lots, God's giving us lots of opportunities. His favor is certainly upon us, and we have growing opportunities everywhere, not just in with what's going on in Ukraine. So what new countries are on tap next to kind of receive food from some of this growth that God's given the ministry?
Yeah, sure. So I did just mention the Dominican. Then I can't remember if we mentioned it in a webcast before, but we've had this pending shipment for 6 months now to Cuba. And my understanding is that cleared its final hurdle of paperwork that involves sending to a country that has an embargo against them.
Mm-hmm.
So we got special permission for the food. So hopefully that will be arriving in Cuba soon. Or we have a renewed interest in shipping to different parts of Africa this year. We have a new thriving partnership in the country of Ghana, as well as Guinea-Bissau. Both of these countries are on the west coast of Africa, so it's an ideal place also to ship food. do Bible distribution, and so on and so forth. So those are some new countries. We hope to finally get back into Kenya with our food as well. We continue to feed. Is it 800, Scott? 800 street kids? 800 to 1,000?
Yeah, maybe closer to 1,000, right?
We've been feeding those kids now for, of course, as they grow out of the program, new ones replace them. But we've been helping these particular partnerships for probably 20 years or more. We used to be able to send food. We've hit all kinds of snags with customs. So a lot of the open doors for us begin as food, but as you know, we use the food as a door cracker anyway for the gospel. So
That's right.
it starts with food and then it becomes a whole lot more.
Yes, yes. Here's a question that's come in. In the U.S., are there any plans for Feed the Hunger to expand in the U.S.?
Yes, the Lord's timing is never our own. He's always slower than I am. I wish he would get on the same page with me because my plans are so good. But we've been praying and planning for years now for breakthroughs in ministry to the Native American community and then also along the border with Mexico. And we believe by faith in the last week, just in the last week, we've had a breakthrough with the border ministry, specifically with the Texas Baptists. And I can share more, but I would rather it be more firmed up. But the Texas Baptists have a very thorough ministry along the border in many locations, and they very much would like to involve our food in that. So we can see that materializing here pretty soon. And obviously that would also be another trip we'd be taking down to be a part of the food in action through the Texas Baptist. So hopefully, please pray for that to come through.
All right, we can certainly do that. Here's another question, because we mentioned about hygiene boost kits in a previous webcast. And so someone's asking just kind of where are we? Have we been able to distribute any hygiene of our hygiene boost kits? And can you just update them on that kind of the newest part of our ministry there?
Yeah, we are so close to going wide with production of hygiene boost kits. I've got I think this is still the original prototype. Let's see if I can get it without the glare. All these different languages here of all the different places we'd like to send the hygiene boost kit. Just as a reminder, has the soap, toothbrush, washcloths, and Band-Aids. So these 4 items, and then there is a cheat sheet that they will have that will, show them, because some of them may never have seen a Band-Aid before. I think some folks may end up not knowing what a washcloth is and assume it's a napkin, so on and so forth. But we have produced a few thousand, I think 3,000.
3,000.
And we're about to produce another 3,000. 1,500 have already been distributed in Haiti, and we're waiting on some feedback. We are sending some hygiene boost kits on this flight to Ukraine as well. And then we want to send it to just a couple more places. We just want to be thorough as we can, that we have the right 4 items before we really just go wide with this. Because I do think some locations that pack food with us will enjoy doing this in addition to or in place of a food packathon. In some ways, it's very, very similar process. In some ways, it's cleaner. You don't have to wear hair nets. You're not dealing with, utensils and all these things and keeping things clean, but it's bagged in a bag just like our meal packet, and it costs the same as our meal packet. So we are excited about it. It's almost ready. We just want a little bit more feedback from our partners to make sure this is a real valid way to help.
All right. Yes. Well, thanks for that update. We might have time for maybe one more question, and I think this is an appropriate way kind of to wrap it all together. We did hear from Victor of some ways that we can pray for his ministry, but in addition to Ukraine, and you can start there if you want to with additional kind of urgent prayer needs, but there's other countries that are going through their own sets of tremendous challenge right now. So what are some other urgent prayer needs from kind of around the world that our partners could spend time praying for?
Sure. Well, there is the pandemic and there is inflation and a lot of our Pakistan locations have already been made aware that our prices have had to increase per meal count. And but thankfully, the church is still responding in a big way to helping people in the Ukraine and beyond. So we're staying very busy. In fact, this weekend, it was a blessing we had, for the first time ever, we had 3 events in 3 different states that were packing over 100,000 meals. You can imagine the planning that it takes to do that and all the travel. So we appreciate your ongoing prayers for staff that help pull off these events. But because the pandemic, is still a problem overseas, and all the inflation problems and the shipping crisis, when I mention all these countries that we want to send food, it has slowed down our distribution efforts immensely. And for example, I've been going to Haiti since I was in a diaper. And by that, I mean when I was 1 year old, not in the last few years. But Haiti's the worst it's ever been since I've been going there. It's just completely unsafe. So pray for our partner Maxo there, who is, putting himself in harm's way. So there's a question in this is along the lines of what we're talking about, a question in the Q&A that,
Right.
How do we still send to other partners we're already supporting? That's the great thing that's happened. The praise that has been that the church has risen to the occasion and provided these extra meal events so that we have not stopped or diverted food from our normal partnerships to this hot spot that is Ukraine right now. There will be another one in our future. It's just how the way works. So the way the world works, there's going to be another crisis, no doubt. So you can pray for wisdom, especially for Melinda, because she's also in charge of a lot of logistics of these shipping. That's a true crisis. And the beat goes on with life and hardship. We just had a partner in Ethiopia who lost his wife to cancer last month, and it's just heartbreaking to hear him talk about going forward without her. Our partners continually need your help. And we try to put those requests in our weekly prayer email. So that's really the best way to stay plugged in. Scott, is there any other prayer requests that you came across I was talking?
No. Did you mention Sri Lanka?
I did not.
Yeah. So, and we just had a visit from Pastor Ranjan in Sri Lanka. I felt like that was in the past month too, but
It was.
the last quarter's been a blur, so maybe it was a little bit longer than that. But he came to our headquarters, and then shortly after that visit, basically Sri Lanka as a nation is now bankrupt, and it was a problem that was long developing in terms of just consistent corruption at the government levels and poor investments and those types of things. But the people are really suffering, and it's become dangerous whenever times get desperate, when people can't secure food and water like they were accustomed to. It gets more dangerous, and so we can pray for Pastor Ranjan and United Christian Fellowship there in Sri Lanka as they continue to minister during this time. It's gotten a lot more dangerous there in recent weeks even. So, both Haiti and Sri Lanka in terms of places of ministry for Feed the Hunger are dangerous for our partners. So remember them and their safety. And yes, I think that was I'm glad you saw that, Joseph, that question about, with so many meals being dedicated to Ukraine, God has really supplied and donations specifically for that. So we've been able to pack food over and above what was currently planned for this time period, this second quarter, before the Ukraine crisis materialized. And we've even had certain churches contact us and put together events, in just a few weeks' time to respond to this. And so we are continuing to fulfill our commitments and even have food to go into the other nations that you talked about earlier, such as the Dominican Republic and Guinea-Bissau and so forth. And so we're just excited by that growth that God's given us, because it's more opportunities to share the hope of Christ through meeting practical needs, and it's a blessing. So we are it's like the fastest 40 minutes of my week. It seems like. So we're already to that point, and we want to be respectful of your time. And so I just want to thank you once again to those that take time to tune in. We hope this inspires you and informs you and just kind of brings you in closer and gives you that opportunity to see the great people we work with, such as Victor, and we had Dr. Johnny on last time, and Pastor Maxo the very first time. So if you haven't seen the earlier webcast, go back and meet those partners, and that's important. And so we just thank you all for your giving and your support, and we're blessed to be in partnership with you.
Yeah, this really is a special time to be doing ministry. We're coming up here finishing our 54th year. I'm not 54 yet, folks. I do turn 50 later this year. Please don't send cards or just send hair. But it is a blessing, a tremendous blessing to be a part of what you're doing, to be a conduit of your blessing to the world. And we are busier than ever right now, which is a good problem to have. So just as I mentioned, please pray for our staff. They're stretched pretty good right now. And we'll see you next time with another exciting update and interview.
That's right. We plan to be back with you the first week of August. So everyone can have a great summer. Hopefully you'll enjoy great weather wherever you are, and some relaxation. But we'll all get some of that in, but we'll also continue to serve the Lord and the opportunities that He gives us. So we will hope to see you in August. And on behalf of Feed the Hunger, our partners everywhere, thank you for what you're doing, because you're making it possible for God to touch the lives of these individuals in a way that makes an eternal difference. And so we appreciate each one of you.
Hey, stay connected to us on social media too. We post pretty often the most up-to-date stuff.
It's
a good way to stay
plugged in.
plugged
LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. So follow us, please. Have a great day.
See y'all.